But on the whole, I tend to be, I have a type of bipolar that tends to be more up than down, and that can get a little tiring. Yeah.
Is this something that it's got to be you? Is there other things that your loved ones can do to help you, or is it something where it has to be you? You have to get to a point where you surrender to it, or is there something loved ones can do to help you?
To help you along toward that point. I think what was so helpful in my family was they just never went away. They just kept coming back. I'd push them away, they'd come back. I'd push them away, they'd come back. I'd make a huge mess. They'd say, you know what, clean up your mess. And they'd stay, you know. And they recognized that I was going to have to come to it on my own time, that the anger was going to have to fade in its own time, but never leaving. And also, one thing that, I mean, I think about my family when I'm in the hospital. They all sort of descend at 6 o'clock at visiting hours. There's, you know, a bunch of them. They show up with dinner and they laugh, you know, and we sit around and we laugh our heads off. And I'm not totally sure what's going on necessarily, but they're laughing, and that is such warmth for me. And so having a family that is accepting of the state that I'm in, and then moving ahead and taking care of their own lives as well, that's important. So, way in the back.
You talked about the things that you do on a daily basis to maintain your health. And I read your book, and I know that exercise was one of them.
Yes.
Can you talk about the importance of physical activity?
Physical activity, I mean, simply on a chemical level, it kicks dopamine into your system, and many of us with a mental illness have a little bit of a low dopamine level. And so just on the chemical level, you're pumping chemicals into your brain that will improve your mood, that will improve stability, that give you a better outlook on life. I do actually yoga, and I can't recommend it highly enough. It's very centering, very peaceful. It gives me a feeling of accomplishment, and it's very balancing, literally. And I work with a number of people who have mental illness, who also do yoga, who, I mean, we just swear by it. And the other thing that's in the book that I didn't mention is meditation. And I know when people said to me meditation, I thought, oh, blah, blah. You know, I don't want to meditate, I don't want to sit still, I can't sit still. But just the practice of trying to sit still and clear my mind for a few minutes every day really, really makes a difference. So those two things are big. Yeah?
So you believe, sorry I haven't read your book, but I can hear that. How about as far as diet? Is there a special diet, things that you eat that you think make you feel better, whether, you know, different moods or situations?
A couple of things that I do know that are important for mood maintenance for me and for people with mood disorder are eating frequently, not saving up one big meal and but keeping it really, really steady. A lot of protein is important because actually protein reduces anxiety. And so when I'm having a big anxiety attack, I go eat cheese, you know, and it helps. And so I eat 6 times a day. I eat a little protein every single time. I try and keep the sugars low without, I mean, I have a history of eating disorders. I'm not going to start dieting now. You know, I don't even want to go anywhere near it. But I try to keep the sugars low because they do induce a blood crash for me, and then I get depressed in the middle of the day for no reason. I try to stay off caffeine for the most part. I have a cup of coffee every day, and that's it. And so those are things that actually really do make a huge difference. So it's a really good point. Thanks for bringing it up. Way in the back in the blue, and then one more.
Yeah, I wondered what your book, The Center of Winter, was about.
The Center of Winter is actually, it's about a family with one mentally ill, with the son is mentally ill. He's 12, and the book is told in 3 voices: his mother, his sister, and then his voice. And he's my favorite character in it. It took a long time to write that book, and I'm very attached to his character. But it's about a family recovering from a suicide. It's, you know, people say, oh, it sounds so dark, and I'm like, no, it's very hopeful. You know, it's a very hopeful piece. One more, and then I'm going to sign off. Yeah. The supplements, I take a lot of fish oil and I take a big B vitamin and I take a lot of D, especially in the wintertime when I'm not getting the D from the sunlight. And so those are things that have been recommended to me by my psychiatrist that do seem to make a pretty substantive difference in mood. One more.
I would like to know if you're familiar with the RAP program, and I'm also curious that you only allot about 6 pages to therapy in your book.
The way the book was written, there were 2 ways we could have written it. We could have gone through and included all of the different therapists I've dealt with over time. What I wound up doing was selecting a couple who were very effective and a couple who were not as effective, so that readers, including therapists, could read about what did get through, what didn't get through, what was effective, what wasn't effective. I've seen dozens of therapists over the course of my life, but one thing that I would like to do, and usually I'm glad that people ask about it because people say, you know, do you think therapy is important? I think therapy is critical. You know, I think in my own life, dealing with a therapist helps me manage the mental illness on a day-to-day basis. It helps me deal with life skills. It helps me deal with, you know, events in my life that I need to handle that I might not handle as well without a therapist. So it's, I mean, a lot of editorial decisions get made on the cutting room floor, and had I had my way, there would have been considerably more about therapists in the book. So, thank you very much, everybody.